Hey, good morning on election day. We hope everybody gets out there to vote if you haven't already voted. It's always a great thing to vote. What we're going to do today is, hey, this is the first in our series for our, generally it's for our premium members for openhousesusa.net, but this one we've opened up to everybody. We want everybody to be able to see it and learn more about what we're about. The first Tuesday of every month, we're going to have generally Walter Key of Epic Realty. He's the area leader there, but he's also a great coach. He's very giving of his time, and he wants every realtor to succeed. But what we're going to do is we're going to delve into different topics that will enhance you in all of your real estate career. But we're also going to tie everything into open houses because this is a area that is just not utilized enough, or people go into it without the right plan for it and to know what success is and how to measure success with open houses. So having said that, Walter, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're also going to leave this open to questions. So put your questions in the chats, raise your hands, whatever, but we want to be able to address what your concerns are.
Awesome. So thanks for having me on. This is going to be super fun. So as I was saying before we started, this is a foundational course that I teach regularly, Zooms, in person, etc. This is business planning for realtors. So we're going to talk a little bit about goal planning, strategic vision, milestones to track your success. We're going to go through a process to give you an individual tailored business plan that you can go execute and grow your business from. I dropped a resource, Google Drive, in the chat. In that, you're going to have a PDF or a Word document, whichever you prefer, that'll walk you through a workbook that you can follow along as we do this presentation. And if you do that homework for yourself, you will have a very clear executable path to whatever success looks like for you at the end of this. Obviously, open houses are part of any decent winning real estate plan. So as you build out your goals, as you build out your plan, as you decide what you want to do, open houses folds into everything. So again, this is a foundational course. It'll be a little less open house specific. And then as we go into the future of other prospecting strategies, we'll talk about open houses again. So let me dive right in. I know we're 6 after. I will do my best not to run long. This is a subject that I am passionate about, but I'll do my best to not get super wordy. Can everybody see my screen that says business planning for realtors with Walkie? Okay, beautiful. So we're going to just roll right through. So this is me in a nutshell. You'll see a bunch of real estate accolades, how I'm so amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'm really not. I just know how to go to work. That's all it is. You'll also see some things on here like 21-year Navy veteran, former marathon runner. Why do I put those on the slide talking about real estate? We'll talk a little bit as we go through this about discipline versus motivation, mindset stuff. How do we go execute our business? And I may reference back to those things periodically. And so that's why it's on the slide.
Okay.
If you want to reach out to me after this call, if you have other questions, if you need the document again later, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you to my link tree, all my contact, all my socials, all my websites, all the happy jazz. So if you need something, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah, just one quick thing there. I noticed that you've got more pets than you do kids. You're going to have to catch up on the kids there.
We're good with the kids. The dogs
Okay.
can come and go. The 3 kiddos are actually so funny. Today is my middle child. I have a 21-year-old daughter. I have an 11-year-old son. And today, my middle child, my son, is 20 today. Today is his birthday. So I told him last night, I'm like, listen, man, you got to have a great birthday. The entire country is going out there and voting for you to have a great day. Like that so he's actually turning 20 today. We're almost done with the kid thing. Well, we don't need any more. We're good. All right. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to start really big picture. We're going to talk about how we take something larger than an annual goal, right? What are we trying to move our business and our life towards? I call that a strategic vision. And then we'll walk that all the way down into individual tailored daily action items on a calendar that you can go execute, which will give you a very robust plan with everything in between. I like to start big picture because most agents, one, they never set goals, and so they don't succeed. But when they do set their goals, they don't really set them well. And I'll explain more about that as I dive into the slide of why the strategic vision helps set better annual goals. So why do we cast a strategic vision first? It's actually really simple. I'm going to use a military analogy real quick. Again, 21-year Navy veteran. In the military, we never want the enemy to get our weapons, our communications equipment, or our tactical gear, our technology. Because if they get a finished product of any kind of thing that we have, they can then reverse engineer that product. They can take it apart down to the individual nuts and bolts and springs, and then they will now know how to recreate that thing for themselves. And now we lose the tactical advantage because they now know how to make the same high-tech equipment that we were using. In business, the strategic vision is the finished product. It's where we really want this all to go for us. And so what we do is we start with that finished product, and then we just simply reverse engineer our success in order to know what daily items am I doing, what specific task am I executing, what priorities am I putting on my calendar that get me to that finished product. And so that's why we start big picture. It allows us to take our goals and really give us an executable track that moves us in a direction that is absolutely worth going. And so when we build out that strategic vision, if I'm going to reference the document that I gave everybody in the Google Drive, the very first page of that 6-page document after the cover page, it says strategic vision. And I've got a spot in there for you to fill out these questions for yourself with the overarching question of, if absolutely everything goes your way over the next 5 years, what does that look like for you individually? Not Walt Key said this would be amazing. What is it that if everything goes your way in your business and your life and your finances, 5 years from now, where are you at? Is it different? Did you move states? Did you change houses because now you can afford to? Like, did you get around the family because you want to, but you can't afford to right now? What are you doing, and how is that different than what you're doing right now? Are you with different people? Did you create a different sphere for yourself? Maybe more successful, peers? How has your life and your finances changed, and why does it matter to you? Why is it important? When you start with that goal, that vision in mind, when we go to set annual goals, you're not just going to throw yourself a softball and go, well, last year I did this, so anything better than that is good, right? Or if I'm a new agent, well, I don't really even have a baseline, so as long as I can do something, it's better than nothing. When we do that and we start from the destination, we start from the departure point, not the destination, we really shortchange ourselves in our business because we're throwing ourselves softballs that we knock out of the park every time. But that's not how we should be setting aggressive annual goals that actually move us somewhere we want to go. So the strategic vision is the destination. What does it all come together and look like? And then from there, we break it all down in detail. So in your homework, if you will, that document, I would ask you to give that some thought and really just answer that question for yourself. If absolutely everything goes my way over the next 5 years, what is my strategic vision? What do I want it to look like? And answer those questions for yourself. So as we build out the annual goals and we start putting the work together, you're going to reference back to that strategic vision regularly. I'll explain that as we go through. But that's why we start with the strategic vision. Now, let me get my slides to keep moving. Now, the strategic vision, again, is going to allow us to reverse engineer our success. We're going to set better annual goals because we know the work we're putting in is moving us where we really, truly want to be. And we're going to put in the work to accomplish those goals. I call these BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. All right, that's just a fancy way to say a goal worth putting in the work for. If I throw myself a softball, one, I'll probably knock it out of the park and I've shortchanged myself. But two, if it's not really worth putting in the work, I'm probably not going to put in the work. And then I'm going to be mad at myself because I didn't put in the work. And 11 months later, I'm not going to accomplish my goals. And it's this constant spiral of, why do I even want to set goals if I'm not going to accomplish them? We have to set goals worth working for in order to hold ourselves accountable and do the work that a success in real estate, whether it's 5 years, a year, 10 years, it's not about this big grand thing you do. It's about consistent, disciplined action that you take every day in order to get you where you want to go. And so that strategic vision helps field the annual goal in a way that really makes you want to do the daily work. Sometimes it feels like a grind. but that daily work is so critical. The consistency and the repetition of what you do every day matters tremendously. So the next document you have in the resources is called the Annual Business Goal Tracker. I'm going to break that document. That's a 1 page, really 2 pages, but we're going to focus on the first one. I'm going to break that down for you in a scenario, in a case study, if you will, about exactly how you fill that out. Again, that's your document, your goal. It'll differ based on what you're trying to accomplish, what your strategic vision is, what your income goals are, and that's fine. But I'm going to walk you through how to fill it out so that you can do it for yourself when the time's right. And you're welcome to follow along if you've got it printed or up on a Word document. You're welcome to just fill it out as you go. The boxes you have are fillable. So with this, there's really only 3 things I need you to know, and everything else is going to be pretty basic math as we walk through. I need you to know, how much money do you want to make? 35 grand so I can quit the teaching job. 135 grand so I can prep for retirement. 335 grand because I got big dreams. Whatever it is for you is fine. How much money do you want to make in the next 12 months? In your specific market, what's the average commission on a deal? Is it 3% still? Is it 2.5%? Are you in a high price market and it's 2%? Whatever that looks like for you, you need to know what your average commission is. Now, if you close a lot of listings, you might get more towards 3%. If you do a lot of buyer transactions and listing agents are stingy, you might get more like 2%, 2.5%. You got to know those numbers for yourself. If you don't know, and you're like, I just got started, I have no freaking clue, put it at 2.5 or 3. And then as you start closing transactions, that's a metric you can track. And if you go, I thought I was more like 2.5, but I'm actually more like 3, you can update your document. This is a living document. The last thing you need to know is, what is the average sales price in your market specifically? If you've been doing business for 3 years and you've got closed data, what's your average closed sale? If you don't have data to look back on, go to Google and just put in median sales price in your city, your town, your county. Go to Realtor, go to Redfin, go to Zillow, look at all 3, average them out, round it to the next even number, right? And then as you close deals, again, you can refine that based on your actual metrics. So what that's going to look like, I'm just, again, going to work through a scenario with you. I want to make $240,000 in the next 12 months. That $250,000-ish, super easy, no big deal. My market's still about 3% commission, and my average sales price in my market is $350,000. So that's the first block on your Word document. You're going to fill that in with your market metrics. The next one is, if I know how much money I want to make, I'm going to account for any big recurring business expenses. And I don't mean like $600 a year for the MLS access or $900 a year for the realtor dues. Those are relatively minor, small numbers. I mean, like, are you paying thousands of dollars a month for lead generation? If you are, quit. Don't do that. I'll show you how to do it other ways. If you have a VA and you're paying them $1,200 a month to do things for you, that's a big number. You want to account for that. As an example, I ran this scenario for a team one time, and the team leader said, we want to make about $250,000 next year. Great, no problem. I can show you that easy. Got to that line item, and they said, well, we spend about $10,000 a month on Zillow leads for our team. I went, $120,000 a year on lead gen. That's half of your income goal. We have to account for that, or you're going to be way shortchanged, right? Ideally, the number is 0, because if you're not paying for lead gen, you're not out there wasting money, the number theoretically is 0. And then that creates a revenue goal, right? Income goal plus expenses is revenue goal. Now, when I say revenue, understand that I'm talking about GCI, gross commission income, right? $500,000 sale at 3% commission is $15,000 in GCI. The reason I use GCI is because I've coached thousands of agents all across the country, also in Canada, every brokerage you can imagine. They all got different splits. They all got different fees. And so it would be very tedious to try to do this training with all of those. Everyone understands GCI. $500,000 house, 3% commission, that's $15,000 in GCI. If you're at a brokerage that has a really crappy commission split, you might want to say, I'm going to account for the commission split as my expenses because they're eating my lunch, right? They're taking a lot of my money. If you're at a brokerage that has a pretty good setup, you know, decent split, maybe there's a cap and then you're 100%, not a big deal. You can just account for it into GCI. But understand that we're going to talk GCI as we go through this exercise. Okay, now we get into the super basic math. I want to make $240,000 in GCI. My average commission is 3%. All I need to do is basic math, $240,000 divided by 3% gives me $8 million in volume. That's super basic math. If I close 8 million at 3%, I make 240 in GCI. If I need to close 8 million in volume and my average sales price is 350, 8 million divided by 350, 22.85 deals a year. So now I know how much money do I need to close yearly? How many transactions do I need to close yearly in order to accomplish my specific GCI goal? Now we're going to take that one step farther, because what typically happens is if I can pound my head against the wall and get an agent to make an annual goal like we just did, what they typically do, they make an annual goal, they're really excited about it, and then they never look at the document again for 10 months, right? And then they open the document 10 months later and they go, ah, crap, I'm nowhere near where I wanted to be. And now it's too late to fix. And so we're going to take this one step farther. We're going to take those annual numbers and we're going to divide them by 12. That is going to create your monthly milestone. So in my case, 240 divided by 12 is 20 grand. 22.85 divided by 12 is 1.9. Gee, that sounds a lot like 2 deals a month. My monthly milestone is going to be 2 deals a month. What we're going to do is twofold. We're going to look at this document every single month, because as the CEO of your company, you have to track your numbers. Every single one of you with a real estate license is the CEO of you Inc., whether you realize it or not. So you have to track your numbers. So every month we're going to open the document. We're going to review our strategic vision. We're going to review our annual goals and our monthly milestones, and we're going to assess our business. And this is how we're going to do it. Very simple. We're going to look backwards. Did I close at least 2 deals last month? It is going to be black and white. You either did it or it's not. There's no fudge factor. Then we're going to look forward. Am I under contract right now to close at least 2 deals this month or next month? Do this around the first of the month. So you look backwards, you look forward. And it's black and white. You're either under contract to close 2 deals or you're not. There's no way to fudge these numbers and cheat yourself. Now, if the numbers are no, right? I only closed 1 last month and I'm only under contract to close 1 this month. We're going to go back to the weekly routine that we'll talk about a little bit later and how we build this out. And we're going to find time to do more daily activity, or we're going to get smarter with the activity we're doing in order to start generating the level of rewards that we want out of this, right? If I'm only about halfway there, logic says I got to do twice as much active prospecting and follow-up in order to close the amount of deals I want. So you're going to create that monthly milestone for yourself so that you can track it every single month. Very, very important. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to base our daily activities, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We're going to base our daily activity, the individual prioritized things we're putting on our calendar, off of the level of activity we believe we need in order to start achieving those monthly milestones. And there'll be some refinement as you go. The first couple months, you might go, not quite where I wanted to be. Let me add some stuff, and that's okay. It's almost like writing a budget for the first time when you move out of mom and dad's house and you're like, oh, I don't really eat out. There's nothing there. And then you track your receipts 1 month and you realize you spent hundreds of dollars eating out and you're like, oh crap, I got to go back to the drawing board and redo the numbers. This might happen that way for you too. So that's okay. If the first couple months you have to refine it and tweak it and retool your calendar, don't stress over that. That's pretty normal. But once you get it to where you're clicking on those monthly milestones, now it's just rinse and repeat. You've cracked the code. You're doing the level of activity you need for your specific monthly milestones. Keep doing what you're doing. And that's how we're going to lay out the framework of this. Now, the second page to the document I gave you for the yearly business goal tracker talks about your why letter, right? Why am I doing this stuff? Why is this number the number I chose? There's something behind the numbers. We're not generally motivated by money. So what does that number do for you? It allows me to leave the part-time job. It is the metric that makes me feel like I'm successful as a real estate agent. It allows me to prep for the kids' college and retirement while still paying all the bills, right? Whatever it is for you is fine. But that letter to yourself is going to reference where you're trying to go and why it matters that you do the work. The second piece you're going to find on that document, you're going to decide a tangible reward for someone else when you accomplish your annual goal. And that can be a one-liner, a two-liner, right? When I make this much money in the next 12 months, I'm going to do this thing for that person. I'm going to take these people to this place. I'm going to donate this much money to this cause. It needs to be tangible. It needs to matter to you, and it needs to be for someone else. There's deep psychology behind why they do this. And I'm not going to get all nerdy on you. I'll just real high level. We are hardwired as human beings to focus more on avoiding negatives than gaining positives. That's caveman DNA instinct stuff. That's just how we are. It's human nature. So if I set a reward for someone else when I accomplish my goals, and then this is important, I go tell that person about my goals and the reward that I've chosen to give to them, right? I've created a positive for them, but I've actually created now a negative consequence for my inaction, because if I don't accomplish my goal, I'm now cheating somebody out of the promise I made to them. And nobody likes to be a cheater. Nobody likes to deprive somebody of what we promised them. So this will create a level of personal accountability for you, unlike anything that any accountability Zoom call can do for you. So tangible, it matters to you. It's for someone else. And then you're going to go, once you've identified it and you write it down, you're going to go tell that person, that organization, that leader of the local charity, you're going to go face to face, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and you're going to tell them about it. And then you're going to work to accomplish your goals so that you can do that great thing for somebody else. Okay. Hope that makes sense to everybody. Let's go a little bit deeper now. So we've got our overarching strategic vision. We've got our annual goal and our monthly milestones. We know what we're trying to accomplish. Now let's kind of talk about how we start to bring this together. One of the things that I've always taught agents, and it works very well for most, if you need to do it differently, by all means do it differently. This is Walt Key's way. It works pretty solid. I want you to build out your calendar 1 week in advance every Sunday evening. The reason we choose Sunday evening is very simple. Usually it's the quietest point in someone's life. The kids aren't going crazy with school events. Your clients are sitting on the couch relaxing. They're not bugging you. Usually Sunday evening is a quiet point in most people's lives. They can just breathe. So we're going to go to our calendar, and you can do this right now if you've got your phone. You grab your phone and go to flip open your Google Calendar, iPhone calendar, go to Sunday evening, pick a time after dinner, but before bedtime, right? A nice quiet window that works for you. 30 minutes is all you need for this. Call it meeting with yourself, call it calendar management, call it whatever you want. Set that item to repeat every single Sunday with a 15 to 20 minute reminder, depending on how long you think you need to prep and then go get in that quiet space, your bedroom, your car, if you have to. Like if you got three kids, 5 dogs, and 2 cats, you might have to go sit in your car for 30 minutes to have some quiet. That's fine. Do what you need to do. This is important. And then you're going to save that calendar item. So every single Sunday, the same time, the same place, you're going to hold a meeting with yourself. And you are going to build out your week in advance with some very clear priorities, so that on Monday morning, all you have to do is wake up, crack your knuckles, and go to work for your company. And you will be successful if you do this consistently. Now, what do those priorities look like? We're going to talk a little bit about how I budget the calendar. Again, this works really, really well for most people. If you need to do it differently, that's okay. I'm just showing you what has worked consistently for most agents. 3 basic priorities. We're going to put these on our calendar in priority order. Priority number 1, I call this the life stuff, right? These are the can't miss items that I absolutely have to do, but I don't control the timing. Okay, they matter. They're important. My family, I got to do these things, but it's not up to me to choose when it happens. So that might be my son has a dentist appointment. Got to schedule that with a doctor. We're going to work around their schedule. I have a doctor's appointment. My dog has a vet appointment. There's a family reunion this Saturday, and I didn't plan it, so I got to go hang out with those schmucks for 3 hours, right? Whatever it might be for you is fine. If it matters to your life and family and you don't control the timing, that goes on the calendar first, because life is more important than business. It always will be. Now, what you'll find is once you've laid out those can't miss items, you look back on your calendar and go, oh, I have plenty of white space on my calendar. I have time to grow my business. You always know when there's an appointment at least a week in advance, and there's not usually that many things on any given week. So you have time to prioritize your business. Now, once priority 1 is on there, you're just going to go back to Monday. You're going to start with priority 2. Now, in my world, in my coaching planet, we call this the core 4. These are the must-do items. These are the things that every single business needs to be doing consistently in order to be successful. So the first one is active prospecting. What am I going to do to generate conversations with clients so I can build relationships and eventually do business? When am I going to do it? To the day and hour. On Monday from 9 to 11, I'm calling FISBOs. On Wednesday from 2 to 4, I'm filming YouTube content. On Saturday from noon to 3, I'm fill in the blank. We're going to get very, very specific with our active prospecting. And we'll talk a little bit more about active prospecting as we go. But what am I doing? Exactly when am I doing it? I'm budgeting it on my calendar in advance. It's the #1 priority for that time slot. All I have to do is hold myself to that when the time comes. That's active prospecting. How do I grow my customer base? How do I grow my business? The second thing you have to have on your calendar is follow-up. Now, follow-up takes 2 forms. Individualized follow-up with the particular prospects that you're just now starting to work, like call that lead generation, right? A warm lead, I got to follow up with them consistently. But you also need a larger follow-up mechanism for your whole database so that they don't forget your name. Things like weekly newsletters, a bi-weekly text campaign, a quarterly phone call, whatever it looks like for you is fine. An automated something that goes to your whole database semi-regularly so that they always remember your name when they think real estate. That's super, super critical. So individual follow-up for the leads I'm working and overall follow-up for my whole database. 2 different follow-ups. You got to be following up consistently every week. The third thing is appointments. When am I going to hold appointments? Because if I'm actively prospecting consistently and I'm following up consistently, I will be setting appointments with people. I guarantee you it'll happen. Maybe it'll be a listing appointment. Maybe it'll be a buyer consultation. Maybe it will be lunch with a strategic partner so that you can share clients and grow your business through that. Maybe it'll be a showing for some houses. That's an appointment. There's a lot of different ways you can do that, but we have to figure out when do we hold appointments. Now, you can do appointments in 2 different ways. You can block time specifically for appointments when you know you're free and just block out appointments. There's 2 to 4 on this day and noon to 3 on this day, appointments. That's fine. The other thing you can do is after you've prioritized everything else very clearly, you can simply leave certain days more open and know if I'm actively prospecting and someone needs to book an appointment with me, I pull up my calendar. If there's white space, that's appointment time. That's doable as well. Either one of those works good. When people are first starting, sometimes it helps to block out a specific appointment time because as you're prospecting, you're very diligent about trying to fill those appointment slots, right? And once you get into the grind of everything and you're building your business, you can just leave some white space on the calendar and you know, like these days are my appointment days. So that's super important. And then the last thing on the core 4, immediate client needs. Got a buyer under contract, got to go to the home inspection. Got a seller under contract, got to make sure that the appraiser gets in. Whatever that might look like. If you have a contract that needs to be worked, obviously those got to be on the calendar for that week. So active prospecting, follow-up, appointments, and immediate contract needs are the 4 things that should be the bulk of priority number 2. How you do those and when you do those are totally up to you, but those 4 things have to be on your calendar, executed consistently if you want to be successful. And then the last one is called the everything else, right? I call these the want to do items. If you build out your calendar in advance and you know, if I do this work, I will be successful this week. I will be productive. You might decide that you want to just do something nice for the family to celebrate that. So let's just say, for example, it's Sunday, I'm building out my calendar and I get everything 1 and 2 done. And I know if I execute priorities 1 and 2, I will be successful. So to relax and enjoy that success, I want to take my wife to dinner on Friday, just the 2 of us. Leave the kids at home, leave the dogs at home, just the 2 of us. On Sunday, I will put on my calendar dinner 5 to 7, dinner 6 to 8, whatever time slot I want to take my wife to dinner. That's not that I'm going to forget that I love my wife. That's not the point here. Follow along with my logic train. Priority number 2 is happening on Tuesday afternoon. And I'm on the phone with a brand new prospect. And they say, hey, we're coming down from Jersey. We're going to be in Florida over the weekend. We've got 6 houses we want to see. Could we start on Friday night? All I do is say, you know what? Hold on 1 second and let me check my calendar for you right now. And I thumb over to Friday night, dinner with the wife, 6 to 8. You know what? I'm actually already booked up on Friday night, but we could start first thing Saturday morning. How does that work for you? Yeah, 9 a.m. is perfect. Send me the list of properties. I'm going to set it all up. Can't wait to meet you. Now, that seems like a really simple interaction, but a lot of things are taking place there. One, I don't overbook myself. Two, I don't have to stress over the fact that I just overbooked myself, and now I have to choose between a client and my wife. The wife's going to win that battle every time. I don't have to waste time rescheduling things. And then maybe most importantly, I don't have to call that brand new client back and ruin my first impression by explaining that, hey, I know I told you yesterday that Friday was good, but now I'm realizing I'm not available on Friday. Could we do some other time? And now I have to reschedule with them, and I look like I can't manage my own calendar because I'm not going to skip dinner with my wife on Friday because of a new client. Now, that's why we put that on our calendar in advance. It keeps business from stepping on our personal life, keeps personal from stepping on our business. Everything has a task, everything has an order. That does not mean that you can't reprioritize your calendar. Let's say, for example, I'm not taking my wife to dinner. My wife's going out with her girlfriends on Friday night. She's having a girls' night. So I'm just like, well, I don't want to sit at home bored. I'm going to go to the movie and watch the new Top Gun. 21-year Navy vet. I'll go watch Top Gun. If someone is on the phone with me on Tuesday and like, hey, could we start seeing houses on Friday night? And I go, movie, alone, Friday night. Hey, you know what? Friday night sounds great. What's good for you? I'm going to put it on there right now. I'll skip the movie to go make money. I will not skip dinner with my wife to make money. See what I'm saying? So we prioritize that so that business doesn't step in on our personal life. But if you choose to reprioritize and book something that's priority 1 or 2 into priority number 3, that's okay. They're priority levels for a reason. I hope that makes sense to everybody. That's a very clear structure on how you build out your calendar in advance. So a couple more points and then we'll move off of this. Just a couple things on a calendar management. You're looking at a screenshot. It's an old screenshot from before I went to Epic Realty, but that is no kidding a screenshot of one of my Wednesdays. You'll notice a couple things. One, there's not a single line item duplicated. There's no time slot with 2 things. We have priorities for a reason. Do not try to multitask. There have been numerous neurological studies done over the decades. Multitasking is a fallacy. You cannot do more than one thing better, more efficiently than you can do one thing at a time. So prioritize and execute. Don't try to do multiple things at once. The second thing you'll notice is nothing is on my calendar in less than a 30-minute block. Again, neuroscience. It takes the human brain several minutes to transition from one primary task to another. So if you're trying to do a bunch of little 10, 15, 20-minute tasks on your calendar, you will always be mentally jumping back and forth. You will be frazzled at the end of the day. You will be fried. And then you won't want to keep doing the work because it's exhausting you. So just be mindful of that. Don't put anything on your calendar less than a 30-minute block. If you've got something you think will take 15 or 20 minutes, book it for 30. Something might take 45 minutes, book it for 60. Worst case scenario, you buy yourself 10 or 15 minutes to breathe, go to the bathroom, drink some water, and mentally lean into the next activity for maximum efficiency. Okay. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A couple other things you'll notice on this slide. On the calendar management piece specific on the screenshot, you'll notice a morning follow-up, an afternoon follow-up, and an evening follow-up. Remember I said that follow-up is important, right? When I'm actively prospecting, when I'm doing the thing that grows my business, social media is away, email is closed, phone is on silent, face down like it is right now, one priority at a time. Will I miss some text messages? Will I miss a phone call? Will I miss a Facebook message period? Yeah, sure. I always have those follow-up times built in. So even if my day gets super busy back to back, I will have dedicated time to breathe and answer all of those inquiries. So the general rule that I tell agents, it is not okay to ignore your clients for 2 to 3 days. That is horrible customer service. You will fail. It is perfectly fine to get back to your clients within 2 to 3 hours. That is clear, professional, quality communication. You're going to be just fine with that. You do not need to be available to your client 24/7, 365. As soon as they text, I have to answer them. That's not how professionals run their calendar. So build in that follow-up time for your immediate clients. Build that weekly follow-up touch point for whatever it is for your whole database. And then don't stress over, well, I might miss a text message because my phone's on silent while I'm actively prospecting. Actively prospecting is the #1 priority right now for a reason. Focus. And then come back to the follow-up when your prospecting is done. I hope that makes sense to everybody. That's a very real clear plan to be successful with your calendar. So the question becomes, what are you putting onto your calendar as you build this out? We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Again, I just want to reiterate, lead generation, the active prospecting, super important. I frame lead generation with 3 basic questions. Who do I want to talk to, right? What client do I want to work with? How do I find them? And what value can I bring? That is a beautiful framework for lead generation. Who do I want to serve? How do I find them? What value can I bring? So just give that thought as you figure out how you want to prospect. If I want to talk to FSBOs, who do I want to serve? FSBOs. They have a need that I can solve. I can help them sell their house. I don't even have to list it. There's a lot of fun things to do. How do I find them? I'm going to go to Marketplace. I'm going to go to Zillow's for sell by owner section. I might go to Fizz Bonanza, and I'm going to call them. What value can I bring? We could do a whole coaching call on that. I won't dive into that rabbit hole. There's tons of great ways to add value to build relationships without ever asking for the listing. That's just one example of how that construct works. Who do I want to serve? How do I find them? What value do I bring? Follow up, we talked about appointments held, got to have it on the calendar, and then the immediate contract needs. Let's talk a little bit about a few other points, and then I'm going to circle back around to the active prospecting because that's a critical piece, and I want to make sure you have some thoughts as you build this out. I always have to take a minute to talk about motivation versus discipline. I cannot stand the word motivation. I wish that we could erase it from everyone's dictionary. It will cheat you out of success so many times. I'm going to use that marathon example that I talked about earlier, right? Former marathon runner. I have a trophy that sits just off the screen that says first in my age group, 2014 Lincoln Memorial Marathon. I ran a 2-hour and 46-minute marathon, finished first in my age group. Motivation had absolutely nothing to do with that. Do I like running? Yep, I sure do. Was I motivated to go run at 3:45 a.m. in December in Omaha, Nebraska when there's sheets of ice on the ground? Hell no, I'm not motivated. I want to stay in my bed. Discipline is the consistent execution of habits that produce results. You will not have motivation to go do your work some days. You will not feel like it. And in my old days, former Navy days, we had a saying, you don't have to like it, you just have to do it. Truly, that is accurate in your business. There are days you won't want to actively prospect. There are days you will not want to go build your business. If you want to be successful, you got to build that discipline and you got to consistently execute your priorities. So take motivation, throw it out the window. Discipline builds habits. Habits very quickly, if you do them consistently, they turn into new lifestyles. And after about 3 months, you just do this now. It's so easy. You're not fighting against yourself. Like you're just out there doing the thing. You get to a point where you're just like, I'm a runner now. Like I don't even remember when I didn't run. Running's what I do. But I can tell you distinctively, I remember I was 15 years old when I decided to join the Navy, and I was training for some pretty rough stuff. So at 15, I started running, and I could not run 2 miles without walking. And for the next 2 days after that very first run, I thought my calves were going to explode. It was horrible. I didn't want to do it. I had no motivation at all, but I had a goal I wanted to achieve. Now, fast forward years later, 2 hours and 46-minute marathon, that's the top 1% of all runners in the country. The discipline created the result I wanted. It wasn't that I'm amazing. It was that I did the work consistently. So be mindful of that. The first few weeks will suck, right? The first time you start calling somebody or doing a new thing or riding your bicycle, right? The first few weeks, it's a grind. You won't be motivated. After about 3 weeks, it starts to get a little easier. It starts to feel comfortable. And then after about 3 months, it's just what we do now. So be mindful of that. It's super important. And I will tell you that you've been lied to your entire life. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is nothing more than potential. If you never go execute for yourself, it is powerless. You are the only person that can execute your business for you, and you have to take consistent, disciplined action running your business if you want to be successful. All right, a couple more things. We're going to move on. I'm going to talk. I know we're running short on time. I'm going to talk really fast on these. When you can leverage technology, there's so many great things you can do now to buy your time back, to make you more efficient, to scale your business. Things like route planning, right? We used to have to just go to MapQuest and print up some paper documents and follow one to that. Now you can go to Route XL, put in 7 different properties, and it will find you the most efficient route to hit them all, plan it out for you with timelines in between. Super, super efficient. Conference calls, right? You don't have to drive 40 minutes to meet a buyer at a coffee shop to have a 1-hour consultation and drive 40 minutes home to then set them up on an MLS search filter. You can get on a Zoom and be face-to-face and have the same 1-hour conversation, and you just saved yourself 40 minutes of driving both ways. That's gas money, that's time. If you add an extra hour, 80 minutes, that's an hour and 20 minutes. Even if you only did that once a week, an extra hour and 20 minutes a week to grow your business, there's an ROI there that's almost incalculable. So leverage technology when it makes sense for you. The other piece I'll talk about is leverage technology to automate your processes, right? So your contact management, if you're not using a CRM that can automate, you're kind of behind the power curve, because you're going to run out of time as you grow your database from active prospecting. You're not going to be able to follow up with everybody consistently manually. So weekly newsletter, I can touch 500 people or 5,000 people in the same 30-minute window, because I automate that through my CRM. Text campaign, the same thing. I set it up once, and every new lead I get, every new conversation I have, I can put them in the CRM every other Friday. Happy Friday. I hope you have an amazing weekend. What do you have planned? I don't have to think about it. It'll just happen. And there's no way I can manually text 500 people, but I can text 500 people instantly through setting up a campaign in my CRM. So leverage that technology to your advantage every chance you get. It'll buy back time that you can use to focus on higher priorities. Okay, last but not least, we're going to dive into this a little bit. In your document, you have 2 more documents in that packet. One is called the Prospecting for Your Personality Strength Assessment. The other is Prospecting for Your Personality Type Lead Generation. I'm going to walk through these really fast. I'm not going to do these live on the call. I typically do these one-on-one with agents, but I want you to do this exercise for yourself. For the strengths assessment, do not overthink this. Do not try to analyze what everything means. Go down the list of words. There's 2 columns, right? It's an either or. Snap judgment. Don't overthink it. At your core, who you are as a person, not what I want to be in business, not what I hope my clients see. At your core, which of those 2 words best associates with who you are? Circle that word. Go to the next line. Circle the word. Next line. Circle the word. There's only 10 of them. Do that exercise for yourself. And then the bottom of that, it's going to say, in your own words, I want you to pick the 5 words that best summarize your ingredient label, right? With the prospecting, the personality type, the communication style, the business philosophy, the life philosophy. What makes you who you are at your core? In your own words, I want you to list 5 words to describe yourself that we didn't already talk about. From that document, we'll move into lead generation categories, and we'll start thinking, how do I align my business growth with what comes naturally to me based on who I am? So you'll see there's 3 different categories in the lead generation categories. You can do multiple things in multiple categories. That's fine. What I want you to think about as you look over that whole document, I want you to identify the number 1 thing. If you only could do one thing for the whole rest of your career, don't worry about whether you know how to do it well. If there's something that you think you would enjoy and you're not sure how to do it, reach out to me. I can teach you how to do it. I can send you a resource. That's fine. I want you to pick one thing that would be the one thing you would enjoy doing if you knew how and you knew it would generate business. Just circle the one thing. Then I want you to imagine for a moment that one thing doesn't exist. I want you to pick the next best one thing. And I want you to stop at about 4 things. I want you to pick your top 4. And I want you to stop there. And I don't want you to add anything else. And the reason I don't want you to add anything else, follow along with me on this analogy really quick. Imagine that your business is kind of like a table. Okay. You're going to take your whole family out to dinner, big celebratory dinner. The whole family's going. You walk into the restaurant and you're like, I need a table for 7, 10, 11, however many you got. And the waitress says, follow me. And as you walk up to this huge table, you realize there's only one leg under the table. How useful is a one-legged table? Your business is very similar. If you've only got one thing you're doing to grow your business, And that one thing shifts, the market dynamic changes, the demographic of customer dries up, a new law is passed and you're not allowed to do it. You have zero business. And as the CEO of your company, that is not a wise position to put your business in. So we're not going to do that. Now, same analogy. You're going to take the whole family out to dinner. You need a table for 7, 10, 11 people. And as you're walking up to the table, you realize that this table has 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different legs under it. Well, now the legs are just in the freaking way. I can't seat 10 people at a table with 10 legs under it. It's now affecting the functionality of the table. Business is no different. If you're trying to do too many things at once, you're not doing anything well, and you're definitely not doing anything consistently. And consistency is where the magic happens in this business. So for most agents, the sweet spot in active prospecting strategies is no less than 2, no more than about 4. After 4, we don't have time, we don't have energy, we don't have the mental bandwidth. We start doing things sloppy or we stop doing them. I'd rather you do 2 things really, really well, really, really consistently than try to do 5 things half-assed and not get any of them done. It's very, very important. Consistent, disciplined action is the way to success. And the only way you can be consistent in your actions is that you're doing the right amount of action so you're not overtaxing yourself. So you pick your favorites. Again, if you need help, if you need like, hey, I think I would like this, sounds great. I don't even know how to start. Reach out to me. I'll get you dialed in on that. That's fine. But do that exercise for yourself. Pick your top 4 in one. Start with 1, go to the next, pick 4 anywhere on that list. And then you're going back to your calendar. Those are the active prospecting strategies that you're going to build into your priority 2. On Wednesday, I've chosen to do this thing. And from 9 to 11, I'm doing the thing. On Friday, I chose to do this other thing. At 9 to 10, I'm doing that thing. Build out your weekly calendar with those prospecting strategies. And when Monday rolls around, just go to work for yourself. And you will start accomplishing the monthly milestones, which lead into successful annual goals being accomplished, which drives you towards that strategic vision, that destination you started with to begin with. Every single month, you're going to open the document. You're going to review it all. You're going to make adjustments if you have to. And you're going to ask yourself, do I need to go back and refine my calendar? Or am I on track and I just keep executing? That's the secret sauce to business planning for realtors. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I know that was a lot of data really, really fast. What questions do we have for me? Prospecting for your personality types doesn't open. Interesting. Did anyone else have trouble opening the Google job that I sent?
I was able to open that. But it looks like a couple others can't. I see
Some
where
say yes,
it
some
looks
say
like
no.
that's on the business planning for realtors work.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I want to make sure everybody gets those documents so they can follow along and do the work for themselves. I'm going to drop my personal email in the chat. If the document opened for you, great. Just make a copy of it. Don't try to work in the Google because you'll change it for anybody else. Either make a copy in your Google Drive or download it to your computer as a PDF, Word document, whatever you want to do. If you want to fill it out, use the Word document. If it didn't open for you for some reason, email me. Just in the subject line, put prospecting for your personality type. I will manually email you those documents so I know everybody gets those. I'm not sure why it's not opening for some and it is for others. Everybody should have access to it, but that's okay. All right, we're at 10:52 questions.
One thing about the prospecting for your personality type, it states this browser version is no longer supported. So it says upgrade to a supported browser. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if it's being sent from Safari to Google.
That's going to be your internet browser that you're using. Google Drive, I guess, is not supporting it for some reason. Yeah,
Chrome.
That's strange.
I have Google.
Super strange.
But that's what's listed in the chat. That's what I see in the chat.
Yeah, I see that. Obviously, it opens for me. I'm using Google Chrome.
Right.
So if you're using Safari or something else, I'm not sure why it wouldn't open.
Yeah. So
so weird.
Let's try this as well.
I'm just doing it the other way.
I'm going to copy just the individual link to the Word document version. Let me know if that one opens for you. That's just that's not the whole folder. That's just the Word document that you can edit. Let me know if that one opens for you guys. Any other questions, comments about this before we wrap up? I know we got a couple more minutes before it's 11. We ran a little bit long. Lonnie, right?
Lonnie. Yeah. So you're saying on a weekly newsletter to send that out, what kind of content do you throw into there? Is it like a one page?
So
thing?
I use great question. If you want to do a weekly newsletter to touch base with your database, I've used MailChimp for years. It's absolutely free, up to a few thousand people. Very simple. You click and drag and build it out. There's templates. It's great. You just upload your database in a CVS file and it goes. What I tell people about newsletters, this is not a real estate newsletter. This is a community newsletter. Understand that most of your clients don't care about real estate right now because they just bought a house with you a year ago. You just sold their house a couple of years ago. They don't want to hear about real estate. They're comfortable. So we've got to talk about things that interest them so they stay engaged. So this is what I put in my newsletter typically. Events that are coming up that weekend, local market good news. Hey, junior high spelling bee champs nationally were here in our local county. The county is doing their Appleseed Festival next week. Here's a link to register. It's free family fun. So events happening in the market, good news stories happening in the market. And then what I like to do is I like to add a weekly business snapshot where I will go into all my local Facebook groups and I'll find my local business owners and I'll market their logo, their business, a paragraph about what they do and who they serve and how long they've been there, their contact information. I do a business highlight of the week. At the top and the bottom, there is a little bit of real estate data. There will be a link to my MLS's monthly market report. I will talk about the current interest rate, and you can go to Fed St. Louis and pull a yearly graph of the current interest rate. So here's what it is. It went up or down from last week. Here's a graph of the 1 year chart. If you have questions, let me know. A little bit of real estate data, but really the newsletter is focused on good, fun family engagement for the community. And here's why I like to do that. One, people care about that more than they care about real estate. Two, I can post the link to that community newsletter in all my local community Facebook groups, which markets me as the go-to market expert that cares about the community. I've actually grown my database because people pull up my newsletter in the Facebook group and go, I love this, I'm going to subscribe. As you do that, it's a very casual, non-salesy, I'm not promoting myself. This is just info for our community. That's what the groups are designed for. People will start seeing your activity in the group. And when someone says, I'm looking for a local realtor, people that you don't even know will tag you because they know that you're a realtor because they read your newsletter. So that's how I like to approach that. Community newsletter focused super hyper local on my local community that I serve. And then I post it in all those local Facebook groups.
Lonnie, I would think one thing that you might want to add in there too, because you've been mentioning this lately, and Walter, you can throw your thoughts on it, is all these different national pancake day or
yeah, you can do a holiday of the week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what else I'm going to add to it too. This is February. How about this? Local open houses this weekend. Go to openhousesusa.net and find your open houses.
Hey,
you can drop the link to the website in your newsletter and let people go look at open houses. And if they want more information about the property, they reach out to you to talk about it. So there's your open house plug for the week.
yeah,
Put your open houses that are coming up in your newsletter. And typically I like to send the newsletter out on around Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the best days. Because if I've got something for the weekend, if I'm talking about open houses on the weekend, if there's a local community event on the weekend, I want my customers to be able to see that in time to plan for it. If I sent a newsletter out on Friday and said, hey, Saturday morning, the festival's happening, they're like, I already got plans. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are ideal days for your newsletter.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any other last minute thoughts, questions, concerns? Was this valuable to anybody? Was this useful?
oh, it's extremely useful, especially as we're ending up with the year 2024.
Perfect time to build out 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives us a chance to go ahead and start planning for 2025. Go ahead and start getting into a rhythm because it's always going. And you can figure out how to add in open houses to your goals. They can absolutely help you to achieve your goals. And here at Open Houses USA, that is our niche. That is what we focus on. That is what we want to help you do to succeed. So always come out here. If you're not a member yet, listen, you can post open houses for free on our website. You can post up to 3 for the year, and not a problem. But listen, even the basic, even the premium is only $98 for the year. Here's a little tip. If you want to save 15% off of that, use the promo code WALT or Walter. You'll get 15% off of that. So you definitely take advantage of that, because you will then have access to this live monthly coaching as we get into more details. Today was a great start, fantastic start. Let others know about us. Walter, thanks again for today. We look forward to the future.
Yep.
With this as well. So
I will tell you, just real quick plug on the open houses. So I run a challenge. I've been running it for months now. We're about to launch round 5, called the 100K in 100 days challenge. It's a very clear step-by-step roadmap to teach agents to build another $100,000 in GCI into their pipeline. Open houses is one of the critical milestones of that plan. Doing open houses well is absolutely a business grower. We'll talk more about that on probably our next coaching call. I'm just going to walk through the nuts and bolts of how I build the open houses, but super
because I've noticed there's a lot of people that just have an open house. They haven't done any.
You can do them wrong. Make no mistake, you can do them wrong.
Success looks like.
Yeah. Real quick, Robin, I saw your hands up before we wrap this up. Did you have another question?
Yes, when you were talking about the newsletter, would it be beneficial for us to also post it in not local websites? Like, I have friends who are in South Carolina. Would that help if we posted in groups that are outside of the local area?
If you're doing referral business and they're coming into your market, then yes, that could be useful. Again, we want to focus on our local community where we primarily serve, because that's the database we want to build. But you can absolutely post it in other groups, other Facebook
just fine tune it for the area.
Makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Make sure it's valuable to them. Otherwise, nobody wants to read it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? Wonderful.
Right.
Listen, we're going to have a recording of this available. So if you want access to that recording, send me an email at hello@openhousesusa.net. We'll send you the link for that. That should be up in a day or two, probably on Thursday. I've got to sit and do 8 hours of CE that day, sitting in front of the Zoom. So that'll give me something to do, but maybe before that. But we look forward to growing this, and we look forward to seeing every one of you become successful and to reach your goals. All right, y'all have a great day.
Thank you.